Hi guys, I'm Gabby and welcome to my channel if it's your first time here, and if you're returning, thank you so much and welcome back. In today's video, we'll be talking about priority dates and why they are important when it comes to getting your immigrant visa. For some, the visa priority dates can be very confusing, so hopefully after this video, you'll have a better understanding of it. But before we discuss priority dates specifically, I think first we should discuss the availability of immigrant visas, because understanding this is important as it's not the same for everyone. So let me explain. The Immigration and Nationality Act sets the number of immigrant visas that the U.S. Department of State can issue to non-citizens who are seeking to become lawful permanent residents each year. So here's the difference. If you are seeking to become a lawful permanent resident of the United States, meaning you want to receive a green card, and you are an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, then I'm happy to tell you that visas are unlimited in supply, which means that they are always available to you. Again, this only applies to immediate relatives of U.S. citizens. So who is considered an immediate relative, you might ask? Well, according to the USCIS, an immediate relative is defined as either the spouses of U.S. citizens, the children who are unmarried and under the age of 21 of U.S. citizens, the parents of U.S. citizens who are at least 21 years of age or older, widows or widowers of U.S. citizens if the U.S. citizen filed a petition before they died, or if the widow or widower files a petition within 2 years of the citizen's death. Now, if you are not considered an immediate relative by the USCIS definition, then possibly you fall under the family sponsor category. USCIS outlines that this specific category would include relatives of U.S. citizens such as married children, siblings, and this also includes spouses and unmarried children under the age of 21 of legal permanent residence. But the difference is the family sponsor category visa are limited and not always immediately available. This is also the case for the employment-based immigrant preference category. Let's say you have a job in the U.S. that's offering to sponsor your visa here. Then these visas are limited too, and they're not always immediately available. Generally, family-sponsored preference visas are limited to 226,000 visas per year, and employment-based preference visas are limited to 140,000 visas per year. Now, there are exceptions. If the previous fiscal year's allocations were not fully used, then additional visas can become available for the next fiscal year, but this doesn't always happen. Additionally, there is a per-country limit on the number of visas that can be issued by the Department of State, because the U.S. does not want to have an insane amount of immigrants from one particular country. So no more than 7% of the total amount of visas may be issued to any one country in a fiscal year. But there are so many more applicants who are applying than there are visas available, so this attempt at fairness creates a backlog. So to distribute the visas among all the preference categories, the Department of State allocates these visas according to the prospective immigrants' preference category, which we just discussed, their country of chargeability or the country of birth, and then the priority dates. Okay, so let's talk about what exactly is a priority date. A priority date is the date that USCIS considers an individual to have officially declared their intent to apply for permanent residency. Priority dates determines one's place in line for a green card. It is generally the date when your relative or employer properly filed the immigrant visa petition on your behalf with USCIS. When the priority date becomes available or is current, then the prospective immigrant can then move forward with applying for lawful permanent resident status if they're otherwise eligible. You can find your priority date on Form I-797, Notice of Action. This is a form issued by USCIS to communicate receipts or approval of an application or a petition. For family-sponsored immigrants, the priority date is the date that the Form I-130 or the petition for alien relative is properly filed with USCIS. Priority dates for immigrant petitions based on employment is either based on when the permanent labor certification was filled by your employer and accepted for processing by the Department of Labor, or the date Form I-140 visa petition was filed with the USCIS. A visa must be available to you before you can take one of the final steps in the process of becoming a lawful permanent resident. So when your priority date becomes current, this basically means that a visa is now available to you and you can take those final steps. So think of your priority date as your place in line for your immigrant visa. You can check your visa queue or your place in line for the visa by using the Visa Bulletin. The Visa Bulletin is created monthly by the Department of State, and it provides the most recent date for when a visa is available for the different categories. I'll do a video on how to check the Visa Bulletin, so be on the lookout for that. So make sure you're subscribed with your bell notifications turned on so you're alerted when I post that video. The immigration process can be quite confusing because there's so many moving parts, so many factors to consider. So I hope that I helped you gain a better understanding of priority dates. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.